Our galaxy is huge. It is about 100,000 light years.
This was the road of the gods. Paribu Road was believed to be a reflection of the sky and the Milky Way on Earth. The surroundings here are beautiful, really fantastic. It is a very quiet place. You are able to observe thousands of stars around you.
For hundreds of millions of years, animals have been evolving on this planet without artificial light sources. They've been only guided by the stars and celestial light sources that are in our nighttime sky.
One of the most beautiful things you can watch is the Milky Way. The Milky Way is very bright, and you have to remember that the Milky Way is our own galaxy.
The central region of our galaxy is very interesting since it is full of stars. I'm speaking of billions of stars.
If we're not there, a majority of the turtles could disorient and lose their life.
The Milky Way is our great cosmic home. It is a spiral galaxy which includes the solar system and our planet, the Earth. It contains over 200 billion stars, including our Sun. On a clear night, away from city lights, the Milky Way is one of the most fascinating objects to watch in the sky. We will accompany astronomers and photographers, indigenous communities, and volunteers who are struggling to make it possible for the next generations to marvel at the majestic Milky Way that rises over our heads. We are starting our journey in search of the secrets of the Milky Way in the Canary Islands in Spain. This is a magnificent sight to observe the night sky. We will accompany Daniel Lopez, a passionate astrophotographer who has captured some of the best nighttime images of the Milky Way. Daniel uses state-of-the-art technology to take spectacular photographs of the heavens.
We are in the Canary Islands, specifically in Tenerife. This is one of the best sites in the world to observe the sky. The conditions for watching the sky here are exceptionally good due to its altitude, lack of pollution, and a small population. This is also why some of the largest observatories and telescopes in the world are located here, in Tenerife. We have these rock formations. The Milky Way will appear around here all throughout the night. So we can place the dolly here, more or less 13 feet away from the rock. We will move the camera a little every 4 to 5 hours and try to watch the Milky Way as it moves along these rocks. And in the forefront, we can also watch how the rocks move. For some years now, I've led a project called The Sky of the Canaries, where my main objective is to showcase the amazing sky on the island. But not only the sky, since I also try to incorporate the landscape into my work. Many people have probably never seen the sky like this, since they were born and have lived in cities, and maybe never gotten the chance to visit privileged places like this, so full of stars. So my purpose is that everybody has the opportunity to enjoy this amazing sky that truly exists, to really show the beauty of the universe, because we don't only see planet Earth with its fantastic landscapes, but we also are able to understand where we stand, where our own planet, the Earth, lies within the galaxy. At night, we can see this arm, the arm of the galaxy, which is none other than the Milky Way. With this type of lens, used for night time lapses, we can also see galaxies outside of our own. An amazing thing like that, which is billions of light years away. With this video technique, we are able to watch it all. NASA has published 13 pieces of my work, not only photographs, but also videos of this type, showing the sky of the Canary Islands. And that is the best platform for someone who is doing astrophotography to showcase their work. This video, Sky of the Canary Islands, has over 2.5 million views and was published by NASA. One of the most beautiful images you can get using the time-lapse technique is the Milky Way, since the stars really stand out from the black and dark background. It also has many shades of red and yellow, and you have to remember that the Milky Way is nothing less than our own galaxy.
From the Canary Islands, we depart towards South America to visit a modern telescope devoted to unraveling the secrets of the Milky Way. It is the VISTA telescope. Astronomers Dante Minetti and Jose Massa are coming along with us.
Dante, cuéntanos dónde estamos.
Dante, tell us where we are and where we are going.
Well, we are in the Atacama Desert, one of the driest deserts in the world. It is a very interesting place if you take a close look, very similar to the landscape of Mars. We are on our way to the ESO, the European Southern Observatory, in Cerro Paranal, home of the largest telescopes in the world, the VLTs and the VISTA telescope. This area of the Atacama Desert was chosen because you can find the best skies for astronomical observation here. Moreover, the wind patterns and the structure of the atmosphere enable us to get very sharp images. VISTA is a state-of-the-art telescope working with infrared waves and a camera that can capture images of large areas of the sky, and that allows us to map out our galaxy. What we are currently doing with this telescope is studying the central region of the galaxy, around the main black hole and the inner disk, in a way that has never been done before. The infrared waves allow us to penetrate through interstellar clouds and see what lies behind. The VISTA telescope is very special since it has a wide field range. It allows us to map out the sky very quickly through infrared waves. It is a unique feature that makes this telescope the leading one in the world.
What are your thoughts as you stand there watching the sunset? How do you think the observation will go tonight?
I think we'll have an exceptional night. The sky is very clear and there are barely any clouds. The clouds stay down there. As you can see, they were stopped behind the mountain range and will not reach us up here. So we will have a very good night to skywatch with the VISTA telescope and also with the VLT telescopes of the Cerro Paranal.
Adelante, gracias.
This is the VISTA telescope with a 4-meter main mirror. The telescope houses the most powerful infrared camera in the world. It has a wide angle which can cover a large area of the sky, about 3 times the size of the moon, which is quite a large area of the sky for a single image. It is the most sophisticated instrument with cutting-edge technology.
Why are astronomers using the infrared telescope when they can use optical waves?
The optical waves work very well and we learn a lot using them. However, the infrared waves offer an important advantage, which is that infrared light can penetrate interstellar clouds. Therefore, we can look towards the center of our galaxy and cut across all the interstellar medium.
A question that the public might want to know is, how do you gather the data?
The data is obtained by digital means. That is, the detector retrieves it and sends it to a computer. The problem is that there are huge amounts of data. The images are enormous. We are not talking in terms of megabytes or gigabytes, we are speaking of terabytes. And after 1 or 2 years of collecting data, we are talking about petabytes. These are huge, really huge amounts of data. And this obviously raises problems of storage and transmission, reduction and analysis. This has resulted in a technological revolution which goes hand in hand with the progress of computers. We are in the control room of the VISTA telescope, by the instruments panel. It is almost midnight and we are busy observing, taking images one after the other as we map out the galaxy. Our galaxy is a spiral galaxy, which at plain sight can seem like a strip in the sky, called the Milky Way. We are surveying the Milky Way, pointing our telescopes toward the central region in order to gather information about the internal structure of our galaxy. The central region of our galaxy is very interesting since it is full of stars. It is the largest cluster of stars. I'm speaking of billions of stars. At its center, there is a supermassive black hole with a mass of about 3 million solar masses. All of that is moving, and with a structure that we know very little about. This is the area we are studying with our survey, using the VISTA telescope. Our galaxy is huge. It is about 100,000 light years, which means that we cannot get outside of it and take a photograph. So how can we get an image of it? By studying the stars inside it, in the very heart of the galaxy, and measuring relative distances, making very precise measurements. Then we can build a tri-dimensional map of our galaxy. It is a very mysterious place since we have not explored it much. The fact that we reside within it, and that it's comprised by so many stars and clouds of dust which blurs anything that lies behind them, has also created a veil of mystery, which we are only starting to reveal, thanks to a project using the infrared VISTA telescope. The search for life in other stars within our galaxy is really fascinating. We are just at the very beginning of this search, so it is really a matter of speculation to really know or try to guess if there is life somewhere else. I am very optimistic, knowing that there are 100 billion stars and knowing that there are hundreds of millions of planets. I am optimistic, and I think there should be life in other places in our galaxy.
We continue our adventure in Brazil, in the city of Curitiba. Here we meet Dr. Hermano Afonso, an astronomer who, after years of research, has left astrophysics aside to devote his efforts to rescue the valuable ancestral heritage of the indigenous people of Brazil. Due to its brightness in the night sky, the Milky Way plays a central role to these tribes.
Aqui em Curitiba, no Parque da Ciência,
Here in Curitiba, in the Science Park, we built an indigenous planetarium with an indigenous name since our main motivation is to show the sky to the indigenous groups of Brazil. We are in a Guarani indigenous community with children for showing in the planetarium and also to visit their shaman. As we start to identify and point out some of the stars, their shaman weighs in and shows us even more constellations that we didn't know of. So if you think about it, we are teaching them a little and in return, learning so much. The indigenous community who are coming to the planetarium today are Guarani, who belong to the Tupi-Guarani linguistic family, whose roots are Tupi. It is the most numerous linguistic family living in Brazil. And even so, when living near large cities, the Guarani have been able to maintain and preserve their culture. A Guarani may work in Sao Paulo, but when he returns home, he is still a Guarani. We also have Guarani people who are more educated and narrate their myths. Then people say they are urban Indians who are educated. Educated in what sense? Because they speak Portuguese, they use GPS, or watch television? No, it's because they keep their traditions and language. Up to 6 years ago, children speak Guarani only, and they are strongly rooted in their own culture.
Então, é importante porque The idea of culture is very important because both the visitors and the teachers in the village want to work with the children, not only to teach them science, but also to learn from the Guarani, from our people. We do this so that they, the students themselves, can value and respect the knowledge of our people. This is very valuable because it's part of their own culture.
Aqui é só para mostrar mais ou menos como que é, porque cada povo tem como começou o mundo, né? Essa cosmovisão tem a maneira primeiro.
Cosmology is extremely important when speaking about the origin of the universe. I explain the origin of the world to them in a scientific way, but also in different manners, since the way through which people imagine the origin of space and time is different. For example, for the Guarani, there is no difference between space and time. Space is linked to time. I make up games and tell them it would be easier to understand Einstein's theory of relativity, but it is different with them, since they do not separate space and time and so forth. With this cosmology in mind, their life is regulated by what they watch in the sky. All ancient cultures left drawings, not writing, to build a model of the world where the main reference was the sky itself, the constellations, stars, lightning, rainbow, which were part of their lives and are within the beliefs of all these cultures.
Então nós vamos mostrar.
We will show you the stars in Curitiba at night so you can see their position. And when you return home, you may recall and tell, in the Guarani language, about some constellations of the Guarani and Tupi-Guarani people. In some cases, you know them better than me. A planetarium is a great teaching tool and the best way to demonstrate knowledge about the sky. They watch the stars and see the relation between the earth and the sky. They have already learned through many years of observation, but by using the virtual sky of the planetarium, we can show how the sky looked in ancient times and how it looks now in the region they inhabit. Therefore, it is a fun and easy way to learn about their own culture, which is all closely linked to the sky.
Due to the prominent and outspread shape of the disk in the Milky Way, for many indigenous people, it is a real road in the sky. According to research carried out by Hermano Afonso and his colleagues, this road represented by the Milky Way not only existed in the sky, but also reflected an ancient pre-Columbian route that joined the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, called Road of the Paraburu. The Road of the Paraburu was a kind of mirror of the Milky Way here on Earth. With Hermano and some of his collaborators, we will trace the remains of this ancient road.
The Road of Paraburu joined the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. It had many roads that usually passed through indigenous villages, such as the one we see here. It was the road of the sun and the road of the Milky Way, since it was shaped after the stars on the Milky Way, and a road that the indigenous people believed linked the sky and the earth at the end point. If they walked up that road, which represented the home of the gods, they could reach paradise without dying. That is why there was a pilgrimage, mostly for the Guarani people, who were always seeking a land without evil. They thought they could find that land if they followed the Parabu Road.
The
monument we see here is very important with regard to the Parabu Road. The inscriptions on the stone prove that this place was inhabited by the ancient indigenous people. One of the features of the Parabu Road are rocks of this type, carved in two directions here and there, showing the cardinal points. This rock points to the north. Here we have the south, the east, and the west. There are other marks for geographical positioning which would help those people. Here we have three holes, perfectly oriented towards the east, and this may mean the Orion Belt, to remind them the sun rises on that side, in the east, and sets over there in the west. It helps them to understand their position in reference to the sun and other stars as well. This drawing, I believe, may represent a fork on the road. You can tell that if you follow the left road, you can turn by the entrance to the right. It's like a map, showing that you will find a village, and this is all part of the Parabu Road.
This is the only engraving pointing towards the west. All the rest are found on the seafront, pointing towards the east. So this is a unique stone. There are no others like it along the road.
Não existe várias dessas pedras nesse caminho, existe essa única pedra.
This is a very special site, on top of a hill, with several large stones or megaliths, which can be used for understanding your location in relationship to the sun and to watch the stars, depending on where you stand. So this place may have been an observatory for the sun and constellations in order to establish a calendar for survival, and also for magical and religious purposes. This is possibly due to the flat and high location of the place. It has everything required for an observatory and as a place for rituals. Other important stars are the Orion Belt. These stars rise on the west and set in the east. All these stars are within the Milky Way, which is this shining strip with a great concentration of stars. This is why the Parabu Road was believed to be a reflection of the sky and the Milky Way on Earth. People who took this road from the Atlantic to the Pacific followed the Parabu Road from east to west by watching the stars. This road also had a religious connotation. This was the road of the gods, where the main spirits lived, and the constellations had a spiritual and daily meaning, marking spring, summer, autumn, and winter. These constellations all lie within the strip of the Milky Way. For them, that place was paradise, a land without evil, without death, with abundant food, where everybody was happy. And the way to reach that place was through this door. That is why they wandered around, and we still wander around, to be able to reach this paradise without death.
We are traveling towards Fray Jorge National Park in the region of Coquimbo, Chile. This is a unique coastal habitat where the first Starlight Reserve in Latin America is being established. This global initiative seeks to protect pristine natural sites from light pollution so that the next generations can also enjoy the majestic Milky Way at night.
Bueno, estamos aquí en el Parque Nacional de Fray Jorge.
We are here at the Fray Jorge National Park, 50 miles away from the city of La Serena. It is a very arid area, and surprisingly, we have found this place. There's remarkable forestry ecosystem where we are now. It is very cold and damp. This is the first time I have visited this place, and the scenery is beautiful. You can see nature in full force, and it is very well preserved. It is a very interesting spot for tourism in the region of Coquimbo and La Serena.
Well, in this mountain range, there is vegetation that you would find 500 miles further south, around the area of Valdivia. One of the characteristics of this place is that it is surrounded by semi-arid vegetation, that is, vegetation adapted to droughts. And next to it, there is an ecotone, with species that have evolved and adapted to live in dampness, which requires around 3 to 4 feet of water. That is the main attraction of this park, and a destination for people who enjoy nature and seek quiet places. The park has 24,000 acres, with 4 prominent ecosystems. In the primitive forest, 247 acres remain out of the 1,235 acres that existed back in the 17th century. These 247 acres correspond to an ecosystem like the one you would find in Valdivia.
The reason why we are here is to evaluate the brightness of the sky and the quality of it, so we can conduct astronomical observations at an amateur level. The goal is to certify that this site meets the required conditions needed to become a Starlight Reserve.
There are 4 main requirements. First, the amount of clear nights on the park, but that can also be done from a city, since it is a requirement related to weather. The other 3 conditions have to be assessed on the site itself, since they require evaluating darkness, sharpness, and visibility of the skies.
Here at the Fray Jorge National Park, which constitutes a biosphere reserve, we can see that there is a mass of clouds constantly circulating around the hills. When we measure the astronomical parameters, we need to make sure that the sky is really dark. Then we use this filter wheel and place it in different positions so we can compare the astronomical parameters that we measured. A Starlight reserve is a site that is very dark with really clear night skies, and at the same time it's a unique site from a biological and biodiverse point of view. These are some of the conditions that the Starlight Foundation demands in order to certify a site at an international level.
The equipment is in good shape. The primary mirror looks clean. The lens on top is a Smith lens and it has a few specks of dust, but this probably won't hamper the observations. We can mount the camera on the telescope so we can capture some images of stars and a few of the moon to see its craters.
This national park is certified by Starlight, and it is the first site in Latin America to achieve this status. So it is remarkable to have obtained such protection on an international level for this spectacular place. Therefore, we think that this type of certification helps to generate more awareness regarding its protection in the long run.
The surroundings here are beautiful, really fantastic. It is a very quiet place. You are able to observe thousands of stars around you. You can watch the center of the galaxy at some point if you come in winter, or you may watch the Orion Belt if you come in summer. The experience of observing the sky here is spectacular and extremely gratifying.
The last destination on our journey is the beaches of Florida. Long before the expansion of modern cities, these beaches have been a habitat for sea turtles who come here every year to lay their eggs. It is an annual cycle that never stops and relies largely on the brightness of stars. Their light guide turtles toward the ocean instead of inland, away from dangerous vehicles. There are thousands of eggs under the sand, which at some point will hatch. Then, the turtles face a difficult adventure for survival.
We are here in Broward County, Florida, central Fort Lauderdale, directly across the street from Hugh Taylor Birch State Park, on the nesting habitat for endangered sea turtles here in South Florida. And we're sitting next to a loggerhead nest that was deposited several weeks ago by a nesting female as she came into the nesting habitat at night to deposit her eggs here. In her hoping that her offspring will survive to go back into the ocean and reproduce. Inside the sand is about 75 to 80 ping pong sized ball eggs that the nesting female deposited into the sand. They will stay here and the sun will warm the sand. The air will provide oxygen going into the egg chamber. Hopefully, no storms will come in to wash waves over the nest and wash the nest out. And then also, hopefully, the people that come to the beach to recreate during the day will respect the nest markers and not cause any damage to the nest location itself. Personally, it's tough to really base an emotion on the hatch, because we know that if we're not there, a majority of the turtles could disorient and lose their life. 1 in 1,000 of them survive anyway. So we know that if we're not there to rescue them, then a majority of them could die and never make it to the ocean, so that way our children in the future will have sea turtles as well. Because if they're not going in the ocean, then that means that they're not going to survive as a species. We have to make sure that the offspring continue their opportunity to reproduce and get them into the ocean. When was the last time that you saw the Milky Way over top of the ocean?
Never.
Exactly. You should see it every night, okay? But our light sources are blocking it out. And if you've never seen the Milky Way, you've seen it like in photos from NASA and on TV and stuff like that, but you've never seen it in real life. So it's important that kids your age start to understand how important the night sky is, because you deserve to see those billions of stars in that Milky Way. And all life on this planet depends on seeing those stars to navigate, except for humans. We use our GPS, right? Okay, but birds, turtles, insects, frogs, snakes, all kinds of other animals in the ocean, whales, they all use the stars to navigate at night. So now you know that these are the sea turtle nests, right? And you know they're an endangered species.
They are?
Oh, absolutely. So now you know when you see these markings on the beach, they're a sea turtle nest, right?
Yeah.
So now you can help educate people that 1, they're endangered, 2, they go the wrong way because of lights, and 3, we need to fix the lights so we can all see the stars, right? What's your name?
Daniel.
Daniel?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Daniel. Usually we engage the general public who are out there watching what we're doing to try to educate them on ways that they can become less of an impact to the environment and help us conserve the environment by acting appropriately on the habitat. What we're going to see tonight is we're going to go out with some of our staff in the field, and we're going to be monitoring nests that we're expecting to hatch. During that time, if we do have a hatch out, we will video the disorientation event associated with the hatch out, document the disorientation event of how many turtles actually went the wrong way, how many turtles made it to the ocean on their own. We'll take photographs of the light sources, and then we'll continue to do monitoring of other nests that are also active. We're on Fort Lauderdale Beach. The time is a little after 12 o'clock midnight. We're monitoring the sea turtle nests that are in hatch window at this time of the year. Some of them are running a little bit late because we've had a lot of rain. So we're having to spend a little extra time on it. But one of the things in particular is that we still have lights on businesses that aren't open, but they still have lights on that are shining onto the nesting habitat and also creating excess light pollution. So this nest was laid 3 days ago. end of July or August by the time it hatches out. You can see the shadow of the stick on the sand. So if you can see the shadow, then you know that there's too much light touching the surface of the nest. So we'll head down to a couple more nests. And then bring them into that mix and rebuild that relationship. That's one of the reasons why we have over 150 staff members. We're the largest ongoing sea turtle conservation program in the field for 8 months out of the year, is because of that human element. You guys are special. You guys are as special as the turtles. And we want people to experience that, but we also want them to walk away thinking that they are just as special as you guys are, because they are now connected because of what they experienced with us. Okay, so we're gonna head north, and we're gonna go set a data line on the lock. And then we came here because this one was the priority, so we're gonna go back to that one, set the data lines on that one, and then we'll come back down here, monitor this one until the end of the shift, which is in another 40 minutes. So, so if you want to head this way, we'll go ahead and we're gonna head north to a loggerhead nest that's in the Bonnet House Beach. It's set to be in hatch window, but this nest was in a greater risk area, so we came to this nest first so we could put our data lines down to babysit the nests while we're watching other nests. So we put this impression in the sand. We smooth out the sand so that way if the turtles hatch while we're not here, we can count exactly how many turtles came out with accuracy versus the turtles being in the footprints, crisscrossing their tracks and confusing how many turtles actually came out. So the data line will babysit the nest for us while we go to another nest. We make another data line, then we go to another nest, and then we rotate all night long. Like most animals, or all animals, the turtles are drastically affected by artificial light. For hundreds of millions of years, animals have been evolving on this planet without artificial light sources. They've been only guided by the stars and celestial light sources that are in our nighttime sky. All animals on this planet have some respect for being diurnal or nocturnal. And there's always a balance between those two species that incorporate the life on this planet. Sea turtles are a main source for us to convey the impacts of light pollution to the general public, because the sea turtle conservation efforts that we do and the effects of our urbanization and lighting development gives the individual citizens who understand what our conservation program is doing something to connect damage of lighting to damage of the environment firsthand, so they can see what happens to the animals because of artificial light sources. And when they see that the light sources could actually cause the death of an animal that's endangered, then they change their mind on how they're perceiving light that we're using at night.